Masechet Shevuot Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, new perek on the top. Mishnah Shevuat Ha'idut. The law regarding someone who swears falsely that he doesn't know testimony. No heged be'anashim v'lo anashim applies to men but not women. Be'er hokim v'lo kruvin only applies to non-relatives, not relatives. Big shirim v'lo pslin, only those who are able to testify, not those who are disqualified. Ve'ena no heged ela b'rin na'id also only applies to those that are able to testify. Seemingly repetitive. We'll explain why. Right. So basically, in a nutshell, only eligible for those who can testify. B'vnei bedim v'shlo b'betin, persons chayav, the witness can be chayav for swearing falsely in or outside betin, mipi atzma, only through his own saying. Or maybe acherim, but if it was through someone else, in chayav beneshki for betin, it only applies if he denied it in betin. B'dirim yachon meir. Chachamim have no, but mipi atzma is by himself, then mipi acherim with others, and in chayav beneshki for betin has been still in betin. The chayav has done shivua, right, for actively on purpose violating this shivua, but you get you have, but times done I do it, or if you accidentally deny the testimony, then I have for completely accidentally not knowing, right? So if he somewhat knew, he remembered something, he but didn't fully know it, that's chayav, but not if you completely forgot. What do they chayav for actively on purpose violating it? Korban, we read the korban. Okay, how do you know that women are not eligible for testimony? Pasuk the Tanakh of the says, "V'amedu shnei ha'anashim," and the two men shall stand up before the court. Ba'adim b'haktum b'em is referring to the witnesses, so therefore it says men. Therefore excludes witnesses, excludes women from testifying. Atam ba'adim, is it only witnesses? In ba'adim, maybe it's referring to the litigants. However, since we have a pasuk says afterward, "Asher lahem hariv," they are arguing. Hare ba'adim, come that's talking about the litigants. Therefore, how many came about therefore, Pasuk says the witnesses are men, teaches you that men are only able to testify. Then, if you want to say that's not a good proof, the word pasuk is the word shene is made shava. Just like over there was edim, so to over here is edim. Now the Gemara says, why do we have to bring a backup proof? Must be that it wasn't sufficient. Sure enough, the Gemara says, maybe you might think it's not a good proof, because Pasuk didn't say in those who are arguing. Maybe you think the Pasuk is referring to litigants, and therefore, therefore needed the Pasuk of the Sheva rather. Different the Braita says, two men shall stand. Ba'edim and compares referring to the witnesses. Atam everything the witnesses litigants. Why would it talk litigants? Maybe it's talking about witnesses, because why? It says two men. There's many times where there's more than two people who are the litigants. Must be from witnesses. The word says and if you don't like the answer, same thing, right? The word says, why do you have to bring another proof? Why would you knock it off? A case where it's a person demanding money from someone else, only two litigants. Therefore, it's not a proof, so therefore you have to bring zera shava. Hey, the other بعدين مكتوب بس referring to ما طالما بعدين same exact thing وأنا بعدين أنا ما في خيانة شيء بعين الدين شيء إن بعدين for 1 second why would it be men maybe who says it's talking about the بعدين or why be witnesses why can't it be litigants what there's no such thing as female litigants مثل the إمنا شلخ مار if you say it's not a good proof نمر كان شنب نمر شنب بعدين بعدين they bring a proof now the Gemara says ما شلخ مار why is bring a second proof because maybe they say that it could be referring to litigants and why it has to say men is because إيش الله بأرحم مشوم كل كبار نخبي maybe it's not normal or usual for the woman to represent herself because it's better for the woman to be not out of public eye. Okay, number one. Abu Shan Shin Pasuk says two men shall stand. Mitzvah, the Baalinin Shamdu, the mitzvah for the litigants to stand. Marvida, Shmati, I heard, Sheimra Tzulu Shiva name Mashivin. The judge wants him to sit down, let him sit. As well as what has however, Shaloya Hadomed Vechad one litigant shouldn't stand, one shouldn't sit. One litigant having free speech to speak as much as he wants on the floor. And the other litigant they stop. Right? They don't want people to feel like they have a disadvantage. Ram, says you shall judge your friend righteously. One shouldn't sit, one shouldn't stand. One can talk, and one day you stop talking. Davar Echad explanation. It's the same pasuk teaches you what have a done it because in general, when you see someone doing something, don't judge him. Does he do something wrong? Maybe you should judge him favorably. Okay, Tanner Rebbe said, "B'tzedek tishkalam mikecha." What does that mean? Am she'itecha b'Torah mitzvot. It teaches you a person who's part of your nation with Torah mitzvot, which means the min hacham. He should judge him properly. Right, make sure you're giving him you should give him priority. For example, Rav Ula, Ula one time have it led in committed Nachman. He had a court case for Nachman. Shalach Rav Sefer, he sent a message from Nachman. Ula Haverin, he said, Ula, our friend, Amit b'Torah mitzvot, he knows the Torah mitzvot very well. Amar Nachman said, L'may shalachli, why did you tell me this? L'chanu filayers, we want me to treat Ula special? Hadamar, maybe he said, and then afterward he realized, let me should particular, maybe I should prioritize Ula's kids first because he's Tamil Hakam. Inami, or maybe not. That should the done need to know because if it's a case where there is no clear cut, there's no clear judgment. Sometimes the judges have the discretion to judge the case. He said, okay, fine. That will be part of the factor in the court case if I need to do that. Okay, Mar Ula says, Mahoket Ba'adini. The mahloket as to whether or not the litigant has to stand is only applying to the litigants. Regarding witnesses, everybody says they have to stand while testifying. The two men shall stand. Okay, only applies when the arguments are being presented. They're arguing back and forth. While at the end of the case, when the verdict is happening, everybody says, the judge is sitting, the litigant is standing, the TBC, okay, this is a different explanation, different version. Implies by the arguments. At the end of the case, David called the Indian Shiva where says the judge is sitting, the litigants are standing, the Ha'edim Kigmar Damo, because the witnesses, the testimony of witnesses is like the Gmar Din. People who says, to stand, therefore, just like the witnesses to stand, so too the litigants have to stand. They beat to the Ravhuna, wife, Havila did not commit she had a court case by Rahman. Amar, he said, how should I do it? All right, so we point out that her husband, she says that Ravuna passed away, that's why she's representing herself. Now Rahman had a problem. What should I do? If I stand up before her to show respect, the other litigant will think that I am showing honor and will be disadvantaged or feel disadvantaged. If I don't stand up in front of her, the wife of a Tamil is like a Tamil herself, and therefore I should stand up for her. Amalishan therefore told his assistant, said, take a goose and release it in the middle of the case. When you throw it at me, I'll rise. And therefore, it looks like I'm standing up for the goose in fright, but really I'm standing up for the rabbi's wife's kavod. And Tosafot mentioned that she knew this. She was on board with that. Therefore, he knew that that was his way of showing respect without causing problems in the case. One second, Rabuna said, that only applies during the arguments. By the conclusion, I called in and she found the judgment sitting while they didn't setting. Says no, in the case where the judge needs to show respect, he should be like semi-standing, like as if he's taking off his shoes. But then he gives the judgment of who's chayav, who's patur, so that he's half standing, half sitting. This is a case if there's a Tamil Chacham and a person who's not learned. They have a court case with each other. You sit down, the rabbi, the Tamil Chacham. The Amar they sit. But if he doesn't want to sit, he wants to stand. Let him stand. Rav had a case by Rav Pav. Rav told him to sit. But then told the litigant, the other litigant sit. Then the officer of the court came. But he called the other guy to stand up. Rav didn't tell him against sit. All right, so just to show that he wanted the rabbi to sit out of respect, but he didn't need to force the other guy to sit. Once the officer of the court made the other guy stand up, he doesn't care. How do you do that though? The other guy will feel like he's disadvantaged and he won't be able to talk clearly. Right? That's the part. If you feel disadvantaged, you won't talk clearly. The guy will tell himself, but the officer didn't like me. So since he says the judge didn't make me stand up, it was the officer of the court, it won't bother him as much. Amar Baba Ravuna, Haim Trubadaran Bamaretz is the case of a Amaret and a Tmichacham. They have an argument with each other. Lo Legdum Trubadanam don't the rabbi, the Tmichacham should not come first and sit before the judge and show up first. Mission domestic because it looks like he already presented his case to the judge, which is a big problem. The judge has to listen to the case only when both of them are there. That only applies when it's not normal for the Tamil to learn with the judge. Right, that's they were Hablutot, for example. But that's the normal time to sit. Litlan Ba is no problem, because the guy will know. Be'id Metarit, he's talking about his learning. Amar Rav Ravuna, hi to Rabbanan, the Yada Besahaduta. The Tanakh Chacham is learning, knows testimony, Vezila B'milta, but he doesn't want to, but it's in order to testify it. It's a demeaning case, it's not respectful. The Mezal Bedina is a terminal, like to go to the court with the judges is less of a Tanakh Chacham than him. Lola doesn't have to go. Amar Rav Shisha, Breda Rav Idi, I don't know anything to prove it from the Mishnah, but Messiah. Matzah Sako Kapav, someone found a box or a sack of stuff. Ben Dar Kolito, and this Tanakh Chacham is not his normal he wouldn't normally carry that. How does he tell you he's patur from picking it up? So you see here as well, you don't have to testify if it's not respectful. How do you mean one of the unpleasant finance cases? About Yisur, the cases of Yisur, and Chochma, and Tuvana, and Aisan, the Neged Hashem, Kol Makom Shesh Hashem, and Chokin Kavod Rav, right? Because it's by Yisur, we have to put down punishment to honor Hashem. This is Hilul Hashem with the Yisur. You're allowed to testify even if it's against your honor. Rav Yemar Haviyada Le Setuta Lemar Zutre. Rav Yemar knew testimony from Mar Zutra. Atalak made an American from Rav Yemar. Outstina the Kulu and Yemar set them all down. Amar Le Rav Ashi the Yemar. Rav Ashi said 1 second. Bamar Ula. Mahog Badinin about Baidim. Maybe said when it says Divira Komida, you should make a stand. So Rav Yemar should stand the witness. Amar Le Yemar answered him no. Hayase. The chiyuv to stand while testifying is an aseh of the Torah. Hayase. And the chiyuv to show to Mecham covered by standing, also a in the Torah. I said the Torah adif, therefore I'm putting the commandment of honoring the Torah, and therefore he could sit. Timan in the ground board was like I'm bringing down the pasuk of midavar sheker tirhak, distance yourself from lies or falsehood, applies in many, many different ways. Let's see how. Tenbram. Yeah, how do you know that a judge should not defend his opinion if he thinks he's incorrect? So let's say he gives a verdict, he doesn't like it, he thinks he's wrong. How do you know he shouldn't double down? How do you know that he should instead rather delve into it and try to fix it? How do you know that a judge should not let a ignorant person sit in front of him who might like an ignorant student who might give him the wrong answers to the Lord. If a judge knows that another judge on the case is a thief, how do we know that he shouldn't? Another witness, if the witness knows the other witness is a thief, how do you know that the judge or witness shouldn't join together? How do you know that if the judge knows well, based off what he's seeing now, he notices that it doesn't look like it's an accurate case. The witness is not lying. Maybe he shouldn't say to himself, you know what? Maybe because the witness is testifying, the witnesses will have their responsibility. Meaning, maybe I'll go through it. It looks like they're lying, but it's on their heads. How do you know he should rather not and actually pursue to make sure that they don't get away with it? Siman Tata Talaydim Slata Vada Hakitam to the Chumadim thing. Minan to make Shia Having the students thing with his rabbi, there is the Hut Lanin, he sees the reason to make the poor person Patur, the Hovla Ashir, or to make the wealthy guy Chayav, which is going against what the case is in the going. Minan Shalei Shal Kamina, they shouldn't be quiet, and he should make the wealthy guy pay, even though it's dangerous for him or it's scary for him. The wealthy people used to have power. Why have you know if the person sees his teacher making a mistake in judgment? Maybe he shouldn't say to himself, I'll wait till after the verdict. Then I'll redo it, the court case, and then I'll get the credit. How do you know that a rabbi told his student, you know about me, that if you would give me 100 manes, I would not lie. But, I have $100 that someone borrowed. Only one witness. I know that the student shouldn't join as the witness because he knows the rabbi wouldn't lie. No, you can't lie. What do you mean? That's straight up falsehood. It's not like, oh, distance yourself from lying issues. This is actually lying. You can't testify falsely. Clearly, we're not saying that the broth. Mar says no. Ella, it's not a case. Going the Amar let the teacher told the student, but I definitely have one witness. And you just stand there. But don't you don't say anything. You don't lie. I feel like he has right? So he wants to bluff him. He wants to bluff the litigant by having this second student stand with the witness, and therefore it'll look like he has two witnesses. Maybe the guy will pay him not right. That's also considered a falsehood. And then say, someone else. Let's at the end of the time, let me claim $200 from him. He'll admit to the 100. But then he'll be to swear the other one in the second half, right? Right? Because that's a way. If someone admits to half of the money, they have to swear. So therefore, once I'll make him swear, he'll therefore have to swear about something else that he owes me, right? And be able to roll the Shevuot, able to roll the oath of something else to Lamar, because therefore he can't do that because if someone else owed $100 to someone else. I know about time. And the creditor said he owes $200 from him. The guy shouldn't say to himself, you know what, let me deny it completely in Bedin. And that way, they didn't admit it afterward for the $100. I don't want to be chayav to swear on the second hundred. I don't want to bring the Shevuah against me elsewhere. Admit the 100, even though that calls you to swear, but at least you're telling the truth. So we've seen that you can't, even if you have good intentions or seemingly righteous ideas, you still can't lie. I know the three guys are owed $100 by one person. They shouldn't act to have like two of them act the witnesses and one is the judge. They'll take away the money and then split it. I know if two guys come to for judgment. One guy is covered in rags. One guy is wearing gorgeous clothing. We tell the well-dressed one, dressed like him, the poor guy, or give him money to dress like you, because we don't want one to be represented better. Tell them, you have one time when litigants came in front of Rava, we told them, take off your beautiful shoes, then go to judgment to match the other litigant. Okay. I know that one judge shouldn't listen to the arguments of litigants before the other person arrives. I know that a litigant shouldn't talk to the judge about his case. The other guy arrives. Right? So the judge can't listen to the case without the other litigant there, and the litigant also has any sort of telling the judge before the second guy arrives. From the pasuk of don't accept also says don't cause to be accepted. Person's pasuk says don't do good amongst other people. This refers to someone who comes to court with the power of an attorney, like he has the power of representing the litigants. Which Shmuel says that refers to someone who buys a field, who ownership says the ownership you don't know who it belongs to, right? So the first case is if someone sends someone to represent, like an attorney to represent him, the other guy will feel bad that he can't maybe make a compromise with the litigant. In the second case, you try to buy something that the ownership is contested, not so kosher. Okay. And the next part of the Mishnah said that, you can only use something that is definitely able to testify. Gemara says, what does that exclude? We already know that from the previous part. What's this special halakha teach you? Mar says, a king can't testify. That's not excluded. Rabbi says, it excludes someone who plays with and gambles. One Rabbi says that only a gambler is excluded from the Mishnah, from the halachot of swearing falsely for testimony. Definitely includes the king. But a gambler is not excluded because he's technically able to testify from the Torah. But only Chachamim were the ones who said that he's not allowed to, and therefore that would be not excluded from the Mishnah.